From golden carriages worth millions to castles you can't even pronounce, to a stamp collection that could buy a small country, to properties so vast they make billionaires look broke. This is the British royal family's wealth explained. And trust me, it's way more complicated than they're just rich. Because when you're royalty, your money isn't really your money. Some of it belongs to the nation, some belongs to the crown, some is private, and some, well, nobody's entirely sure who owns what. Some of these royals are loaded beyond belief. Others survive on allowances, and one of them literally can't be arrested for not paying taxes because, well, she makes the laws. So grab your monocle, pour yourself some Earl Grey, and let's dive into royal wealth. From medieval land grabs to modern investments that would make hedge fund managers jealous. Let's kick things off with the big one. The asset everyone thinks the royals own but actually don't. The Crown Estate, worth approximately £15.6 billion. That's billion with a B. And it includes some of the most valuable real estate in Britain. Regent Street in London, Windsor Great Park, massive chunks of the seabed around the UK, and even the entire seabed out to 12 nautical miles. Wait, the seabed? Yep, every offshore wind farm in British waters pays rent to the Crown Estate. Every yacht marina? Rent. Every cable running along the ocean floor, you guessed it? Rent. But here's the twist. The monarch doesn't actually own any of it. The Crown Estate belongs to the Crown as an institution, not to King Charles personally. It's managed independently, and all the profits, around £312 million a year, go straight to the UK Treasury. The government gets it all, so why does this matter? Because in exchange for handing over those profits, the royal family receives the sovereign grant, which is a percentage of the Crown Estate's profits given back to fund official duties. As of 2023, that's 25% of the profits, though it was recently 25% to pay for Buckingham Palace renovations and usually sits at 15%. So the royals handed over £312 million and got back about £86 million to run the monarchy. Not a bad deal for the taxpayer, right? Except it's complicated. Because critics argue, why do we give them anything? The Crown Estate should fully belong to the public. Supporters counter, without the monarchy, we wouldn't have the Crown Estate at all. It exists because of centuries of royal history. Either way, the Crown Estate is the foundation of royal wealth. It's the golden goose nobody technically owns, but everyone benefits from. Well, mostly the government. But if the Crown Estate doesn't belong to the royals personally, what do they actually own? Now we're getting into the good stuff, the private money. The Duchy of Lancaster is a portfolio of lands, properties, and investments that belongs personally to the reigning monarch. And it's worth about £652 million. This isn't taxpayer money. This is the king's private income stream established in 1265 and passed down from monarch to monarch ever since. What's in it? Over 18,000 hectares of land across England and Wales. We're talking rural estates, farmland, commercial properties in central London, and even a few castles thrown in for fun. The duchy generates about £24 million a year in profit, and that money goes directly to the king. No treasury, no government, just straight into the royal bank account. And here's the kicker, the monarch doesn't pay corporation tax on it. Technically, they volunteer to pay income tax on the profits, but they're not legally required to. It's a gentleman's agreement that started with Queen Elizabeth II in 1993 after public pressure. So King Charles gets £24 million a year, pays income tax on it like a regular person, well, kind of, and uses that money for private expenses, staff salaries, maintaining private properties, funding family members who don't get sovereign grant money, and basically living like, well, a king. But the Duchy of Lancaster isn't the only private estate bringing in royal cash, because there's another duchy that's even bigger. Welcome to the Duchy of Cornwall, worth over £1 billion and generating roughly £23 million a year in income. But unlike the Duchy of Lancaster, which belongs to the reigning monarch, the Duchy of Cornwall belongs to the heir to the throne. Right now, that's Prince William. This estate was established in 1337 by Edward III to provide income for his son, the Black Prince, and it's been funding the heir ever since. What's inside? About 52,000 hectares of land, mostly in southwest England, farms, forests, rivers, coastline, medieval castles, rental properties, and even the Oval Cricket Ground in London. The Duchy also owns Dartmoor Prison. Yes, an actual working prison. The government leases it from Prince William, which means every time someone gets locked up there, the future king profits. Wild, right? Like his father, Prince William doesn't pay corporation tax on duchy income, but voluntarily pays income tax. He uses the money to fund his official duties, his family's lifestyle, and private expenses. So between the Duchy of Lancaster and the Duchy of Cornwall, the King and the Prince of Wales are pulling in nearly £50 million a year in private income. Not bad for a working royal family. But wait, there's more. Because the royals also own properties that aren't part of any duchy or crown estate. Let's talk about the private properties, the ones the royals actually personally own. Balmoral Castle in Scotland, bought by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert in 1852 for £32,000. Today it's worth an estimated £100 million, sitting on 50,000 acres of Scottish Highlands. This is where the royals go to escape. No tourists, no official duties, just hunting, fishing, and pretending they're normal people. Except, in a castle. Then there's Sandringham Estate in Norfolk. Purchased in 1862, also by Queen Victoria, as a country retreat for her son, the future King Edward VII. It's worth around £65 million and spans 20,000 acres. Both estates are fully private. The royal family inherited them, maintains them, and pays for them out of personal wealth. No taxpayer money involved. But here's the thing, these properties are expensive to run. Balmoral alone costs millions annually in upkeep, staff, and maintenance. Some estimates suggest it costs more to maintain than it's worth as an income-generating asset. So why keep them? Tradition, sentimentality, and because when you're royal, selling your grandmother's favourite castle feels a bit tacky. Now let's talk about the properties the royals live in, but don't actually own. Buckingham Palace, the most famous royal residence in the world, worth an estimated £4.9 billion. And King Charles doesn't own a single brick of it. Buckingham Palace belongs to the Crown Estate, which means it's held in trust for the nation. The monarch lives there, works there, and uses it for state functions, but can't sell it, rent it out, or leave it to their kids. Same goes for Windsor Castle, worth about £500 million. The largest occupied castle in the world, and it's been a royal residence for over 900 years. The king lives there on weekends, but it's owned by the Crown Estate. Kensington Palace, same deal, worth roughly £630 million, home to Prince William and Kate Middleton, but they're essentially high-class tenants. The Tower of London, Hampton Court Palace, the Palace of Holyrood House in Scotland, all owned by the Crown Estate or historic royal palaces, not the royal family personally. So here's the irony. The royals live in some of the most valuable real estate on earth, but they don't technically own most of it. They're trapped in golden cages they can never sell. But don't feel too bad for them, because they've got other assets that are personally owned, and some of them are absolutely wild. Let's talk about the royal collection. Over 1 million objects, including paintings, sculptures, furniture, books, and decorative arts accumulated over 500 years. We're talking works by Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Rembrandt, Vermeer, and Canaletto, some of the rarest and most valuable art on the planet. And it's worth, well, nobody knows exactly, because it's never been sold and probably never will be. Estimates range from £10 billion to over £100 billion, depending on how you value priceless historical artifacts. But here's the catch. The royal collection is held in trust for the nation. The monarch can't sell it, can't take a Rembrandt to Sotheby's and cash out. It's theirs to use, display, and preserve, but not to profit from. Same goes for the crown jewels, worth an estimated £3 to £5 billion. The imperial state crown alone contains 2,868 diamonds, 273 pearls, 17 sapphires, 11 emeralds, and 5 rubies. It's literally priceless. But again, the king can't pawn it. It belongs to the crown, held in trust for future generations. So the royals are surrounded by unimaginable wealth they can look at but never liquidate. It's like being a billionaire with a frozen bank account. But there are some items they own personally. and one collection is worth an absolute fortune. King Charles inherited one of the world's most valuable stamp collections from his grandfather, King George V. We're not talking about your grandpa's dusty album in the attic. This is the Royal Philatelic Collection, containing some of the rarest stamps ever printed. British Guiana 1C Magenta. In there, the penny black got dozens. Entire sheets of misprinted, one-of-a-kind stamps that make collectors weep. The collection is estimated to be worth anywhere from £100 million to potentially much more. And unlike the crown jewels or the royal collection, this one is privately owned. King Charles could theoretically sell it. He won't because it's been in the family for over a century, but he could. And stamps aren't the only quirky asset the royals hold. Here's where it gets weird. The British monarch technically owns all unmarked mute swans in open waters across England and Wales. It's a tradition dating back to the 12th century when swans were a delicacy served at royal banquets. Today the king doesn't eat them, that'd be PR suicide, but the tradition remains. There's even an annual event called Swan-upping, where royal swan markers count and tag swans on the River Thames. But it gets weirder. The monarch also has a claim to all sturgeon, whales and dolphins in British waters. It's called the Royal Fish Prerogative, and it dates back to 1324. So if a fisherman catches a beluga sturgeon or a dead whale washes ashore, technically they're supposed to offer it to the crown. In practice, this almost never happens. But legally, the king owns your whale. Does this add to royal wealth? Not really. But it's a bizarre reminder that royal ownership extends beyond castles and crowns into the natural world itself. Now let's talk about the money the royals get from the government. Every year, the British government hands the royal family a chunk of money called the Sovereign Grant. In 2023, that was about £86 million. This money funds official royal duties, state visits, ceremonies, palace maintenance, staff salaries, and travel. It's not personal spending money, it's the monarchy's operating budget. Where does it come from? Remember the Crown Estate? The royals hand over all its profits, around £312 million, to the Treasury, and the Treasury gives back 25% as the sovereign grant. So technically, the monarchy is funded by its own historical assets. But critics argue that those assets should belong to the public, not be used as justification for royal funding. Supporters counter, without the monarchy, there'd be no Crown Estate. We're getting a great deal. The debate rages on. But here's what the sovereign grant actually pays for. Salaries for over 500 royal household staff, maintenance of occupied palaces, Buckingham, Windsor, etc. Official royal travel, the king can't just hop on a budget flight. State banquets and ceremonies, utilities, housekeeping and IT for royal residences. It does not pay for the king's private expenses, that's Duchy of Lancaster money. Security, that's funded separately by the Metropolitan Police, costing an estimated £100 million or more annually, private holidays or non-official activities. So the sovereign grant is substantial, but it's not a personal allowance. It's the cost of running a constitutional monarchy. But not all royals get money from the sovereign grant. Here's where it gets messy. Only working royals receive money from the sovereign grant. That's the King, Queen Camilla, Prince William, Kate Middleton, Princess Anne, Prince Edward and Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle? Nope. Not since they stepped back from royal duties in 2020. Prince Andrew? Also nope. After his scandals, he was stripped of official duties and funding. Princess Beatrice and Eugenie never received sovereign grant money because they're not working royals. So how do non-working royals survive? Some have private wealth. Prince Andrew reportedly received money from the Queen's private funds. Harry and Meghan signed massive deals with Netflix and Spotify, reportedly worth over £100 million combined. Others work normal jobs. Beatrice works in tech. Eugenie works in the art world. They're royals, but they're not on the payroll. And then there's the younger generation, George, Charlotte and Louis, who don't receive money yet, but will inherit vast fortunes when their parents pass. Speaking of inheritance, let's talk about what happens when a monarch dies. When Queen Elizabeth II died in September 2022, she left behind an estate worth an estimated £370 million in private wealth. This included Balmoral, Sandringham, investments, jewellery, art, racehorses and cash. All of it passed to King Charles. Now, if you or I inherited £370 million, we'd owe inheritance tax, 40% in the UK. That'd be a £148 million tax bill. But King Charles paid zero. Why? Because there's a special exemption for assets passing from monarch to monarch. The reasoning? To prevent the royal estate from being broken up and sold off every generation. Critics call this grossly unfair. Why should royals avoid taxes everyone else has to pay? Supporters argue royal assets are held in trust for the nation. They're not personal wealth in the normal sense. Either way, King Charles inherited a fortune tax-free, and when he dies, Prince William will do the same. But beyond inheritance, the royals also invest like any other wealthy family. The royals are investors. They hold stocks, bonds, and financial assets managed by private wealth advisors. In 2017, the Paradise Papers leak revealed that the Duchy of Lancaster had invested millions in offshore tax havens, including a Bermuda-based company and a retailer accused of exploitative practices. The palace insisted everything was legal and above board. And technically, it was. But it looked bad. Why? Because the royals are supposed to be above reproach. Investing in tax havens while ordinary Britons pay full taxes doesn't play well. The Duchy of Lancaster responded by reviewing its investment strategy and promising greater transparency. But the damage was done. It revealed that royal wealth isn't just land and castles, it's a sophisticated financial portfolio managed like any billionaire's assets. Now let's talk about royal income from non-official sources. Some royals have found creative ways to make money outside official duties. Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, reportedly earned him a £16 million advance. His Netflix docuseries with Meghan brought in tens of millions more. Sarah Ferguson, Duchess of York, writes children's books and romance novels. Not exactly a fortune, but it's income. Prince Charles, before becoming king, sold organic products through his Duchy Originals brand, which later became Waitrose Duchy Organic. Profits went to charity, but it proved royals could monetize their brand. Even the late Prince Philip published books and gave paid speeches earlier in his life. The key? Balancing royal dignity with commercial activity. Too much commercialization and you lose public respect. Too little and you rely entirely on taxpayer funding. It's a tightrope walk. But beyond personal wealth, the royals also bring in massive economic value to Britain. Here's the big question: do the royals pay for themselves? According to Brand Finance, the monarchy contributes roughly £1.8 billion annually to the UK economy through tourism, trade and media interest. Millions of tourists visit royal palaces every year. Buckingham Palace alone attracts over 500,000 visitors annually, generating millions in ticket sales, merchandise and local economic activity. Royal weddings boost the economy. Prince William and Kate's wedding in 2011 generated an estimated £2 billion in economic activity. Harry and Meghan's wedding brought in around £1 billion. The Kate effect sees anything the Princess of Wales wears sell out instantly, boosting British fashion brands. Then there's soft power. The monarchy gives Britain global influence. State visits, royal tours, and diplomatic engagements enhance Britain's image worldwide. So even if the sovereign grant costs £86 million, the economic return is arguably much higher. But critics argue France has no monarchy and gets more tourists than Britain. We don't need royals for tourism. Supporters counter, people don't visit Versailles to see a president. They visit to see history. The British monarchy is living history. The debate continues. Now let's talk about what the royals actually spend their money on. Running a monarchy isn't cheap. Buckingham Palace's recent 10-year renovation cost £369 million. That's taxpayer money via the sovereign grant spent on rewiring, replumbing and preventing the palace from literally falling apart. Windsor Castle costs about £15 million annually to maintain. Balmoral and Sandringham cost millions more. Then there's staff. The royal household employs over 500 people. Butlers, chefs, chauffeurs, gardeners, private secretaries, communications teams, and more. Salaries alone run into the tens of millions annually. Royal travel isn't cheap either. The king can't fly commercial for security and logistical reasons. Chartered flights and the royal train cost millions per year. State banquets? Expensive. Official ceremonies? Expensive. Maintaining centuries-old traditions? You guessed it, expensive. So while the royals live in unimaginable luxury, they also shoulder the financial burden of maintaining an institution that's 1,000 years old or more. Some royal expenses have sparked outrage. Prince Andrew's refurbishment of Royal Lodge cost millions, and he's not even a working royal anymore. Prince Charles, now king, once spent £18,000 on a private flight that could have been a £200 train ticket. The optics? Terrible. Meghan Markle's baby shower in New York reportedly cost £300,000. Privately funded, but still criticised as excessive. And every year, the Sovereign Grant Report reveals eye-watering spending on things like £1.2 million on housekeeping and hospitality, £3.9 million on property maintenance, £4.6 million on royal travel. To ordinary taxpayers struggling with cost-of-living crises, it feels tone-deaf. The palace defends this as necessary costs of running a constitutional monarchy. But public patience wears thin when excess becomes the norm. So, after all this, what's the royal family's total net worth? Let's break it down. Crown Estate, £15.6 billion, not personally owned. Duchy of Lancaster, £652 million, King's private income. Duchy of Cornwall, £1 billion, Prince William's private income. Balmoral Estate, £100 million, privately owned. Sandringham Estate, £65 million, privately owned. Royal Collection, £10 to £100 billion, held in trust, not sellable. Crown Jewels, £3 to £5 billion, held in trust, not sellable. Private investments and cash, estimated £370 million or more. Stamp Collection, £100 million, privately owned. Total genuinely owned by the family, around £2 to £3 billion in sellable assets. Total if you include Crown holdings, over £30 billion, but most of it can't be touched. So the royals are billionaires trapped in a system where they can't access most of their wealth. They live in palaces they can't sell, surrounded by art they can't auction, holding titles to land they don't control. It's gilded captivity. So there you have it. From crown estates worth billions to stamp collections to literal ownership of every swan in England, the British royal family's wealth is vast, complicated and deeply intertwined with the nation itself. They're not just rich, they're a financial institution, a tourist attraction, a global brand, and a historical relic all rolled into one. Some argue they're worth every penny. Others say they're an expensive anachronism Britain can't afford. But one thing's certain, royal wealth isn't going anywhere. It's survived revolutions, scandals, and centuries of scrutiny, and if you thought this was complicated, wait until you hear about the royal family's darkest secrets. From hidden affairs, to covered-up deaths, to conspiracies that'll make your head spin. Click the next video to find out, or I swear I'm selling the crown jewels myself. Subscribe to Agent Crown because monarchy's wealth is stranger than fiction.